All right, guys. So I just got done watching the first two episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi. They popped up late this evening, early morning, whatever day you want to call it. Came early on Disney Plus, and I decided to tune in to check them out. And I'm going to go ahead and give my thoughts. Full spoiler warning. I will be giving spoilers. Um, so if you don't want to be spoiled, don't watch. But just let me start off right off the bat. I am through and through a mega Star Wars fan. The series as itself, as a whole, single-handedly changed my life. I wouldn't be who I am if it wasn't for Star Wars at all. Period. End of story. And yeah, throughout the years, since the prequel trilogy and now the sequel trilogy, it's been met with a fair amount of criticism, both good and bad. For the most part, I'll tell you this. The only movie that I kind of had to deal with was Last Jedi. In fact, I've only seen that movie one time. That's the only black spot, in my opinion. The prequels, even though they get a bit of a hate, I feel that they have actually... I helped produce a lot of lore and backstory and characters that spun off into greater series like, the Clone Wars and Rebels and some of the spin-offs. We get a little bit of stuff from the Clone Wars, a little bit of influence in there. It really did a good bit of world building. So with Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett coming out recently, those have been pretty good. Aside from Book of Boba Fett kind of straying away from Boba Fett itself and becoming Mandalorian 2.5, I think the series on Disney Plus have been freaking fantastic. Mandalorian has single-handedly given so many great memories. I mean, with Luke Skywalker coming back and Grogu and Luke training and, callbacks to stuff in the previous series, Star Wars, I think, has benefited greatly from having Disney Plus shows. So when Obi-Wan Kenobi was, I guess, transformed into a series on Disney Plus, because it was supposed to originally be a film, but then the Solo movie's commercial failure kind of switched the plans and everything. I was excited, especially when I found out that Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen were going to be casted back in their respective roles. I know lots of media and interviews leading up to this. Hayden Christensen basically said that it is basically, I guess, it helped rejuvenate his confidence as an actor. A lot of people kind of didn't like his portrayal of Anakin Skywalker in the prequels. I thought he was okay. But it's basically kind of like what Andrew Garfield is going through with the Spider-Man No Way Home multiverse thing going on, where people didn't really appreciate Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man until now, and now it seems like the general consensus is people are kind of having like a nostalgic appreciation and love for Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker. So that was a big excitement for me. So they showed the first two episodes tonight. Episode 3 is coming out Wednesday. I decided I would go ahead and talk about it. First and foremost, I got to tell you, right off the bat, there's not much Hayden Christensen here. They showed him at the end of episode 2, just very briefly, probably like 10 seconds. No lines, no dialogue, nothing. In fact, they really don't mention Vader that much these first two episodes. So he's kind of not there. I'm feeling episode 3, they're going to go ahead and show some more of him. But this primarily focused on catching up with Obi-Wan Kenobi. So Ewan McGregor, basically, it's like, getting on a bike. Once you learn how to ride a bike, you don't forget. So it really felt like he just jumped right back into this role. I felt like 2002 again, or 2003, watching episode 2, Attack of the Clones, and just seeing Ewan McGregor be Obi-Wan as all can be. And then I know a lot of the backstory says that he was really excited about this role. Like, he prepared himself. He watched all the Skywalker saga movies again, all the spin-offs, read some of the books. Like, he was zoned in on doing justice to his Obi-Wan character. And I gotta tell you, he was awesome. So I liked that they presented him as a broken down shell of himself, kind of like what they did in the sequel trilogy with Luke Skywalker. So Obi-Wan is just kind of a shell of himself. He's a hermit. He's hidden. He's broken down. He has zero confidence in himself. He's on the run. He's hiding from the Inquisitors with the Grand Inquisitor, and then we also have like 3 or 4 other characters that are after him. I can't think of them. Revel? Was it Revel? The main chick that was hunting Obi-Wan Kenobi because she wants to get props. She reveals later on she wants to get props from Vader for bringing in Kenobi alive to him. That apparently Vader has set these Inquisitors out to hunt the Jedi. So this takes place on Tatooine. And, you get a quick little glimpse of the Lars Luke Skywalker farm. You get a very brief cameo of Luke Skywalker as a kid, and it makes me wonder if we're ever going to get that rumored young Luke Skywalker series. I know back in the 90s when it was like around the special edition era, there was a rumor that we would get like an Adventures of young Luke Skywalker. So I still think in the back of my mind that sounds like such a fun idea. But anyways, Obi-Wan kind of hiding out. He goes and checks up, takes toys, takes stuff to Luke Skywalker, and Uncle Owen tells Obi-Wan, stay away from us. Basically, they want to keep away from any kind of sort of attachment or any kind of discovery of Anakin Skywalker, Lord Vader, and, the Inquisitors coming and whatever. We do get introduced to a Jedi that is on the run. He finds Obi-Wan, asks for help. Obi-Wan turns him down. Like, that's how broken he is. We find out later that he gets killed by the Inquisitors. Obi-Wan's basically pretty safe and sound, well hidden until we find out Princess Leia is kidnapped. So we do get a young Leia as well. And Leia gets kidnapped by some, like, thugs. And it turns out that it's a trap by one of the Inquisitors. Revel? I think that's her name. I think she's a brand new character created for the series, by the way. But we find out it's a trap to lure Obi-Wan out. So Obi-Wan leaves Tatooine for the first time in a decade. This takes place since 10 years after Order 66. And he goes to this planet. Escapes my mind, like Dialglis or something like that. It's almost like a cyberpunk looking planet. Well, anyways, Obi-Wan hunts for her, and it almost becomes kind of like the same premise as Mandalorian, except with instead of Mando and Baby Yoda, it becomes Obi-Wan and Baby Leia. Like, that's what I'm gonna call her. I'm gonna call her Baby Leia, even though she's 10 years old. But basically, we get like, and I'm guessing this is what the series is gonna be like. The next 4 episodes is that Obi-Wan's going to be on the run with little young Leia while people are trying to hunt Obi-Wan down. And he has to take her back home to Bail Organa, who, by the way, Jimmy Smits looks like he has not aged a year in the last 20 years. I don't know if they did de-aging CGI. Also, Ewan McGregor looks like he hasn't aged either, but he looks great. If you watch clips of him in interviews and stuff, he hasn't aged at all. But anyways, we kind of get like this whole thing where he goes and rescues her. Flea actually starred as one of the main thugs in this. That was actually really cool to see Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. But we get kind of like this adventure where he goes, rescues her, and then they're like on the run while everybody gets like a bounty on their wrist. It's almost like the end of the last John Wick movie where everybody gets alert on their phone. They get like a little picture of Obi-Wan, and Leia gets kind of scared and suspicious of Obi-Wan because he's hiding the truth of who he is. So she runs, and he has to chase after her while they're being hunted and attacked. And it ends up in a battle. We get a lightsaber battle tease, but it doesn't happen. They went up into that cargo area, and Revel, I think that's her name, Revel, I don't fucking know. Correct me in the comments. I'm too lazy to Google right now, but she busts out her red lightsaber. Obi-Wan doesn't use his. Grand Inquisitor comes up there, interrupts that girl because she's kind of going over his head, and she's like, no, you're not doing it. I'm taking the credit. You're beneath us. She has enough of his crap. She kills him, which that confuses me because doesn't Grand Inquisitor die like a different way, like in one of the series or something like that? Like he's like in a different series that takes place later on or some kind of part of the timeline. So that kind of threw me off. But there was a fair amount of suspense. They escape. But before they go, she informs Obi-Wan that Lord Vader is looking for him. Obi-Wan wasn't aware that Vader was still alive, and it shook him up pretty bad. So evidently, it seems like Obi-Wan still cares about Anakin Skywalker, even though he has turned to the dark side. He feels, I guess, like a little bit of a guilt for failing him. You know that line, "I failed you, Anakin." It's like almost like a survivor's guilt. Plus, because towards the end of the episode, he tells Leia, "You remind me of someone, a friend of mine." That was clear reference to Padme, who's her mother. I think we're going to see a lot more of that. The way they had young Leia portrayed, she was real sassy, real strong, independent for a 10-year-old, smart alecky. I feel that the series is now going to focus on the emotional and psychological aspect of Obi-Wan, mentally, about how he failed his Padawan, Anakin. And it's going to be interesting to see where we go as far as cameos and stuff go. There's still a rumored Ahsoka, Rosario Dawson cameo. Maybe that could still happen. We haven't gotten interaction between them. As far as post Anakin Skywalker going to the dark side. Right now she's in hiding too. That could be a possibility. This takes place before Mandalorian, which we saw a cameo with her and Luke Skywalker interact, which was groundbreaking. Maybe we'll see one with Obi-Wan. But the time that this era of this show is really interesting to see, although we're not really seeing how powerful the Empire is. Like, we've seen some stormtroopers and stuff, but we're mostly seeing the Inquisitors. The environments and stuff look way more CGI'd than Mandalorian did. Like, if you look even at Tatooine when they're in the city, it doesn't seem like we're seeing too much like in the background and foreground as far as like practical effects and props go. It did seem a little bit more CGI effecty, especially when they did like the above view, like where the streets are going and stuff. Like, a lot of the characters look kind of, I don't know, just look a little too CGI at times. The ships too, of course, where Bill Organa and Leia and them like that. We saw a little bit of wooded area, but not a lot. It's just like you could tell the sets kind of seem a little bit smaller than what we saw in Mandalorian. That was just my personal observation. The guy from Eternals, I think one of the characters, he was Eternals. He was the one that played the Bollywood character. He made a cameo in here as a fake Jedi. And I thought he was kind of funny. And I was kind of hoping he was a Jedi, because it would have been funny to get a comedic Jedi, like a change of pace. But it turned out he was a scoundrel that was lying to people and taking their money and doing like a fake effect show with fake force powers. But Obi-Wan called him out on it and stuff. So I'm kind of all over the place, but my general consensus of this is that it does seem like there's a lot of promise. It's sad that it's only 6 episodes and they're going to bang them out. I mean, within the next week, we're already going to be at the mid-season of this series. There's 6 episodes total. It seemed like episode 1 was a lot longer than episode 2. But as far as what we got, the potential's there. It's just, it kind of felt a little bit too much like Mandalorian. As far as like the plot goes, with Obi-Wan going and rescuing Leia. So I'm not sure if the rest of the series is going to be them traveling together and trying to make it back home, because that would be a little bit too much like Mandalorian. We're getting baby Leia and Mando-Wan Kenobi. But I do like this. The only thing that I really have a chief complaint about is that we know both Obi-Wan and Leia are going to live no matter what. And that Luke isn't in danger, because Luke and Leia are alive all the way up until Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, and Obi-Wan doesn't become a Force ghost until episode 4. So there's a lack of danger when it comes to the main characters, which kind of hampers it a little bit, kind of bums it out a little bit. The lack of danger, like, when they were cornered at the end of the second episode, I'm like, kept telling myself that they're going to be okay. They're escaping because they live. And that's the bad thing about these spin-off series or these series that take place between movies and stuff like that. Same thing with like Solo. We knew Han Solo wasn't in danger at all, or Chewbacca in that movie, because they of course make it through like all the series. That's what intrigued me the most with Mandalorian, is that we don't know what's gonna happen with Grogu or with Mando, with Din Djarin. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know, because those characters are brand new. Even with the aspect of General Thrawn and all that, like, that whole story is something new. And even though they are presenting something brand new with Obi-Wan, we still know at the end of the day, the main characters are going to be okay and they're going to make it. So the only thing that I could think of is that this is going to be used as a device to further along a spinoff, or introduce new characters that are going to get a spinoff, or to fill in plot holes and to fill in fan service. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. I mean, think of a Vader. What if we get a Vader spinoff off of this, with Hayden Christensen? I think that would be phenomenal. But as a whole, awesome. The sets just felt a little bit more too CGI and also a little bit too small compared to Mandalorian. The score was pretty good. John Williams wrote the main theme, and then apparently the composer's the first ever female to be a composer for a Star Wars project. So congrats to them. I don't know the name off of my head. I did like some of the characters we saw, but I will say some of the wardrobe seemed pretty bad. Like, especially like the wardrobe that the thugs that kidnapped Leia had, they looked terrible. Like, some of these like costumes and stuff that you saw the people walking in the street of that cyberpunk city, they just looked terrible. Like, they didn't pay money on wardrobe at all. At times, even Obi-Wan Kenobi's robe kind of looked crappy. I do like that they still teased the lightsaber battle. Like, we didn't see Obi-Wan light his lightsaber. I think we're going to see that towards the end. I'm not even sure if we're going to see Vader and Obi-Wan even interact, because technically they meet again for the first time in episode 4, right? So who knows what's going to happen with that. I don't know. It seems like they're retconning a little bit of things, because even Leia, like in episode 4, she's like, "Hello, Obi-Wan. You helped my father greatly in the Clone Wars, blah, blah, blah." Now she meets him as a kid. So is she going to forget meeting him? Or I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. I'm pretty stoked for it overall. I think it's pretty good. I'm excited. Star Wars anything except Last Jedi. So yeah, let me know what your thoughts are, guys. And I'll see you on the next one. Thank you for watching.